I'm Christyhartman. Welcome back to my channel. This is a new stencil of mine. It's called Black Eyed Susan. Comes in two sizes, 8 by 10 and the 9 by 12. This is the 9 by 12 inch size. It's had a lot of use. You're going to see a lot of it today in this video. It is a wonderful stencil. I can't tell you how much I love this. I was so excited to get this one. I hope you enjoy it just as much as I do. Let's get started. This is my 9 by 12 inch plate. I'm going to add Van Dyke Brown from the Golden Fluid acrylic line of paints to my gel plate. And I'm just spraying it out. And this is actually quite a bit of paint. This is more than what I would normally have used. I'm trying to retain as much of that paint that's going to be underneath the stencil as possible. And you'll see what I mean in just a moment. This is my stencil, Black Eyed Susan's, available from PM Artist Studio. And I think it has been a lot of fun. I've done a lot of printing with it here recently, as you can see. I'm going to place a piece of white printer paper over the top of this and try to remove as much of that paint as I possibly can. I'm going to flip my Baron over and use the other side because that smaller rounded side gets down into the cracks and crevices of the stencil a little bit better than does my hand or the flat side of the Baron. And you can see there was a lot of paint because there's a lot of paint residue left over after I've removed it for the stencil. Now I'm going to grab a piece of deli paper, and this is just a used piece of deli paper. And I'll be honest, if you really want to remove your paint, get a clean piece of deli paper. Paint does not like to always stick to paint as much as to a clean sheet of deli paper. But I had this one handy and it worked. Now you're going to see me add a clean piece of deli paper to this as I'm trying to clean up some of that inner shadowing that's occurring with this. And I'm going to go over it again. Pull the stencil off. Now I pulled off quite a bit of paint as I pulled off this stencil, and it left kind of a mottled appearance to the paint, but I actually quite like that. I'm going to let this dry. Once it's dry, I'm going to replace that stencil over the top of the Black Eyed Susans, which are brown. I'm using a flat paintbrush. This is actually called a deerfoot brush. I'm going to go over the top of it. These are mica powders, which are Pearl EX powdered pigments from Jacquard. I'm using the sparkle gold and the brilliant gold out of this set, kind of intermixing them in and around the petals of this stencil. I had watched my friend Teresa Aragona use the Tim Holtz Perfect Pearls on some of her work. She has a channel. She's from Teresa's Crafty Cabana if you are interested in checking her out. She uses the Perfect Pearls frequently on her gel prints. And I thought, I don't have Perfect Pearls, and I really didn't want to go buy them, but I knew that I had these mica powders from Jacquard, and I thought, why wouldn't they work? And if any of you know the difference, if there's some substantial difference and some reason why I shouldn't be using these on the gel plate, please let me know. However, they worked great. I have to say I was pleasantly surprised with how these turned out. I thought they were really gorgeous, to be honest. I realize there's some glare and I apologize for that. We're going to do an ombre, and with the ombre we're going to use these 3 PBO pearlescent paints. We're going to use number 355, 358, and 359. This is my 8-inch brayer, and this is a hard rubber brayer, and I'll be honest with you, I don't love it. I know a lot of people really like it, but I struggle with it. It pulls paint off the plate, and I struggled to get a nice even coat with it. I just feel like it's always blotchy, or I wish I could get Speedball to make an 8-inch soft rubber brayer. I'd be a much happier camper. I'm going to lay a piece of print baking paper over the top of all of this, and I use the You Create printmaking paper, and it's made by Dixon Ticonderoga Company. You can find it on Dick Blick, and it is actually one of my favorite printmaking papers. I'm going over the top of this with a well-used piece of deli paper. I just don't like to get my hands in paint, and that's why I always add a deli piece over the top of all this. But this one is actually beautiful, and I end up using it for something else in another upcoming video. But here I'm going to flip it over and you can see what this is going to look like. And believe it or not, I'm pleasantly surprised. Let's pull this print. And what I discover as I'm pulling this print is that those mica powders are beautiful on this print. They're very subtle. It's a very soft look to it. The mica powders are set with the paint. They do not come off on the print, which I kind of wondered about. And I think this is a technique that I will use over and over and over again. Loved it. Let's use Phthalo Blue Red Shade. Pull this off. This is open. It'll have to sit and dry. Let's do a second one. Still Phthalo Blue Red Shade. Lay this stencil down. This is a paper where I pulled off some iridescent pea pods. Let's put this down over the top of it and pull it up. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Look at that. That iridescent paint underneath it. That's lovely. Let's grab a clean piece. See if we can get one more print off there, because I have quite a bit of paint on there. And it's lighter, but we have another really nice print actually. I've got just a piece of deli paper and see if I can pull up some more of that. Let's pull this up, and this one will have some kind of like air bubbles in it because of the way the stencil sits on it, but we'll let that dry. We're going to do an ombre on this. We're going to use this 358 PBO on either side, and then we're going to put the 356 PBO in the center. And that will be beautiful. I'll be back when it's time to pull it. This one, I want something on the back. This is geopoly. I'm going to use this blue pearl, and I'm going to go over the top of this, and I don't want it too terribly thick, but I don't want it too terribly thin either. And if you haven't watched my video on using an isolation coat, which kind of protects the previous layer depending upon what colors you're going to use, you might want to watch that. That's not what I'm hoping to do here, although it is partially. Does that make sense? It is, but it isn't. I want to protect that blue a little bit, but I only want to protect it in certain areas. And we'll let that dry. Let's pull this print with transparent red iron oxide. In theory, what this should do is, where I placed the pearl blue, it should protect the blue that's underneath. Where there is no pearl blue, it should interact with the blue, because blue and orange are opposites on the color wheel. They're complementary colors. We'll see. Ah, that's going to be gorgeous. I'll be back when it's ready to pull. Look at how that blue pearl in the background almost went pink. And it shows through the blue here, which retains that original color of blue. The transparent red iron oxide darkened up the blue here. Really spectacular. I love this one. We're going to use geopoly with transparent red iron oxide. Let's go right over the top of this one, which is the lighter of the two. Okay, and I don't want that very thick, so I'm going to pull it off. It's kind of interesting. Let's see if we can get some more on this one. Let's just lay it down over the top of it. Much lighter. And let's put this back down over the top of this. See if we can get some more of that paint off. And let's go right over the top of it. You're flopping off to the plate, which is going to leave kind of an interesting pattern. Let's let that dry. Use this cad yellow hue. Let's take this one and lay it down right here. We're not going to leave it for any great length of time. We're just trying to pick up a little bit of an overlay color. On this dirty plate, put down our stencil again. Let's take Iridescent Bright Gold Fine. And I'm using the open. First of all, it adheres better to paint. It is very thin. Okay, let's pull this off. Let's grab this one and let's lay it right over the top of this. Got a little gold on there, which is actually making it look kind of rich. And I think we can do the same thing to this one because I think I've got enough paint on my plate. Yeah, we pulled up a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. This is all dry. Let's put this stencil back down over the top of this, and we're going to put some blue, and I'm hoping that some of this will pull up when we do this. Let's use anthraquinone. And that orange is under there too. Let's grab this and let's lay this down right over the top of it. Let's let that sit and dry. I think that is going to be pretty cool. We'll see how this pulls up. Oh my gosh, I'm loving that. That is fabulous. Really lovely. Look at the layers in there. I love this. These are some of the prints that we've completed today. We did this one, which has the mica powders on it. I love this print. This one, which was a little bit simpler, it was basically a 2-layer print with the stencil and then the background, which I ombre'd. I think this turned out brilliantly too. This one had multi-layers. It had 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 layers on it. I love it. I love the way it looks. This is the companion to it. This one has as many layers. I just put more orange in the background of this one, and I put less orange in the background on this one. Same paint color, anthraquinone here. You have 2 very different prints. This one, I love this print. I added the iridescent blue. I love the way the background changed those first 2 layers. And interestingly enough, this is a 3-layer print. These 2 are 5-layer prints. All 3 of them are equally spectacular. It just goes to show that sometimes 2 layers in a print works. Sometimes the addition of an additional media works. Sometimes multiple layers work, and sometimes only 3 layers work. Sometimes a great print is just a layer away. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, leave me a comment. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, please. I'm really hoping that the algorithm picks me up and through your thumbs up and through your watches, so I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in my next video.